If you haven't been following what's been going on with my channel recently, Fatsapphicbro on TikTok tried to get some of my videos taken down off of YouTube, and one did get taken down. It's now back up, and that calls for celebration. I made a promise to my viewers that I would dedicate an entire video to you, and today is that day.
This person said, yeah, I had a bodybuilder coworker die from a heart attack pretty recently. He was trying to get into shape for some competition. Yeah, I mean, they starve themselves. They intentionally dehydrate themselves. They keep themselves at a calorie deficit a lot of the time.
Prepping to step on the bodybuilding stage can take as little as 8 weeks or as long as 4 months. But in the mean and in between, they're bulking up, trying to build more muscle.
And when you keep yourself at a calorie deficit, your body doesn't eat fat. It eats muscle.
So this is 4 times Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler off season. And this is him on stage at the 2009 Mr. Olympia. You tell me, did his calorie deficit eat fat or muscle? When they say things like this, I just can't help but wonder, how do they come up with this bullshit? Hi, Dr. Flotep here, and I believe I have the answer. As a result of our brother the Sapphic skull being lodged firmly within their colon, the formation of critical thoughts is being prevented.
And when your body doesn't have a lot of fat anyway to start with, it really goes at the muscle.
Wow, this is the first time you've said something that's correct.
Your heart is a muscle.
There's a number of reasons bodybuilders go through heart failure. HGH, enlarging the heart, steroids, raising cholesterol, leading to heart failure, diuretics, raising blood pressure, leading to heart failure, etc. But none of the reasons are due to dieting.
Most bodybuilding, the way that it is done, is incredibly, incredibly unhealthy and comes with extreme amounts of risk. And when you bring this up with a lot of the builders, they are very quick to justify their eating disorder and to say that because they are doing it for a sport, which bodybuilding is not a sport, please, and that they know, and that that's okay, and that it makes them happy. It's yikes. I don't know that I have more to say than that. It's yikes.
Bodybuilders know their sport comes with risk. They know this. They acknowledge this. They are always stressing, if you're going to do this sport, get your blood work done. Get your organs imaged. Make sure your health is in check. Or don't participate. That's the difference between them and you.
This person says, be careful. Trolls are going to use these diagnoses to try and prove how bad being fat is, which is total bullshit. You could weigh 120 and still, I think they were going to say, have these conditions. Yeah, you're absolutely right. First of all, I don't really give a fuck what the trolls say because they are not my doctors.
You sure cared enough to false flag multiple YouTube videos.
They are not even doctors. They're not on my care team. They've never had a conversation with me. They've never asked me any questions. They literally don't know me. So I could give a shit what they think. But let's talk about the actual causes of some of these things that are considered fat things. So hypertension is incredibly genetic. I think even at his most fit, my dad was pretty skinny most of his life. Until he became disabled. But he, for as long as I have known, has had hypertension. My mother also has hypertension pretty bad. Both of my grandmothers have hypertension. The chances of me not having hypertension were very slim, no matter how slim I was. Also, I have extremely a lot of stress. I have severe CPTSD from years of trauma. And I also have chronic illnesses. I'm a multiply marginalized person. I am the primary caregiver of my grandmother who has dementia and a bunch of other illnesses. We are super high risk for COVID, so we have been isolated since March of 2020. I have a lot of stressors. There is no way that I could ever get a normal blood pressure without medication help because my stress levels are so fucking high. And this is also sort of genetic because this is how my mom and dad were too. They are just like very stressed, high stress individuals. And so, yeah, same thing with hypothyroidism. It is incredibly genetic. My grandmother has it as well. And we, in fact, take the same medication for it. And then polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, and diabetes. So PCOS causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance can cause type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is also incredibly genetic. Both of my grandmothers and my father had type 2 diabetes. So again, there was a high likelihood that I would get it, especially because I have the PCOS. And the PCOS, the insulin resistance, the diabetes, they're all this terrible cyclical thing. They all make each other worse.
This is a common misconception. The current evidence we have suggests overweight and obese women with PCOS are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than overweight and obese women without PCOS. But this doesn't seem to be the case for women with PCOS in the normal weight category. Olila and colleagues 2017 gathered data from 2,700 women with and without PCOS and had participants undergo glucose tolerance tests. According to their data, women with and without PCOS had roughly the same risk of type 2 diabetes if they were in the normal weight category.
And then the hypertension and the hypothyroid is very comorbid with those things as well. And in fact, hypertension can cause diabetes and the other way around. It's all of these things are very comorbid. It has nothing to do with weight and a lot to do with genetics. Now, it can have things to do with lifestyle things, some of it. And yeah, but for the most part, it is incredibly, incredibly genetic. That's all I could fit into this. I'll do a part two for the rest.
Sit down with your Uncle Hotep for a second while I tell you about myself. Back in the day, I was a pretty heavy drinker. Do you know who else was a heavy drinker? My father. Can you guess who else was? His father. And guess what? So was his father. In fact, I dug into my ancestry. Wasn't able to find too many people, but I was able to find my great 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 grandfather. And the only reason I was able to find him because he was some random drunkard who tried to murder his wife. Now imagine for a second, if I gave in to cirrhosis simply because it's common in my bloodline. That's ridiculous, right? Diabetes tends to be multi-causal. Genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger.
This person asks, would it be okay to ask questions about coercive weight loss and mental health? Struggling right now, but don't want to cross boundaries. And they also asked if I had any advice on how to handle not spiraling into disordered behavior because of coercive weight loss. To be really honest, I do not participate even in coercive weight loss. If a doctor demands that I lose weight, I fire that doctor and get a better doctor.
You don't fire doctors. They don't work for you. They work for their given institution. That's like saying I fired my instructor when I stopped taking their class. It's not how that works. As for better doctor, that's just insane to me. I wish I had a doctor who told me when I was obese, yo, you need to get your shit together, because my blood pressure would be regularly elevated. And not once was I told, hey, you should probably start changing your lifestyle. You are incredibly lucky to have doctors that do care that much.
I know that not everybody can do that. I know it is a privilege to be able to do that. I know it is a privilege that I am able to advocate for myself in the ways that I do. I am able to educate my doctors.
You're educating your doctors, huh? You know, my favorite quote of all time is a Charles Darwin quote that goes, ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. And I feel like that's just perfect here.
And so I don't often have trouble with doctors trying to get me to lose weight. Most of the time, my cover letter and me speaking with them is enough to get them to understand that weight loss is not an option for me.
Let's be honest now. Weight loss is an option. It's just something you're not willing to partake in. Let's have a little bit of integrity here.
And we need to work on my health in different ways. And so, unfortunately, I don't have advice for it, and so I don't think that there's a lot of help that I can offer or support that I can offer. And to be really honest with you, participating in weight loss like that for me would be very triggering.
So then here's a solution. Go to therapy. If a given medical intervention is triggering to you, go to therapy as opposed to just dealing with the symptoms as they arise, because you're essentially just putting band-aids over holes in a dam. It's gonna catch up to you.
I don't let my doctors do it to me because it would damage my health really, really, really significantly. So I'm gonna say no. I can't answer questions about this because I don't participate in it. And I don't participate in it for my own mental health and well-being. And I know that you get that and you understand, and that's why you're asking, and you want to make sure not to cross boundaries. And I really, really, really appreciate that. So thank you for your kindness and your understanding. And I am so sorry that you are struggling so much right now. I totally 100% understand. And that's why I don't have advice, because I have no idea how to get through coercive weight loss without devolving into the disordered eating, because it really is. It's doctors giving you and encouraging your disordered eating, and it's so fucked up. And you deserve so much better. And I really hope that you're able to make it through this as mentally intact as possible. If there is any way I can support you, I am here in general just to be a supportive listening ear. And I wish I had more advice, but I just don't. But I am wishing you the best of luck and sending you so much love. Thanks for asking.
This is insanity that this person thinks they need to engage in some form of disordered eating in order to lose weight. Our buddy Soliloquy has said before that they weigh around 440 pounds. That means their BMR should be around 2,800 calories a day. That means our brother the Sapphic could do nothing and eat about 3,000 calories a day and lose weight. To put in perspective how much food that is equivalent to about 8.5 McChickens, 23 wings from KFC, 16 pieces of cornbread. Hell, you could fit more than 3 well-balanced, nutrient-dense meals into 3,000 calories. I say all this to say Soliloquy doesn't need to engage in disordered eating or eat in a fashion similar to anorexics in order to lose weight. In fact, they could stuff the absolute fuck out of their face and lose weight.
Restrictive dieting, really low calorie diets, and low carb diets actually make PCOS symptoms worse. So with PCOS, what's happening is you already have higher cortisol, CRP, and insulin levels, which are all things that are more likely to make the body store fat. But when you diet, it makes all of those things even worse, perpetuating that cycle of consistent potential weight gain. Part of the reason is because with higher insulin levels, you're going to crave more carbs, but then when you diet, you crave even more, putting people on this pattern of binging and restricting. Did you know that in the PCOS population, they're 5 times more likely to battle an eating disorder because of all of the bad nutrition advice out there? So what's really important to note here is that you should not be doing a restrictive diet. Now, I'm going to do another video about what you should do, but I couldn't fit it all in one. But do not restrict your calories super low or cut carbs. It's not the answer.
Now, there's 2 main claims from this video that I take issue with. 1, the claim that very low-calorie diets raise CRP levels. And 2, very low-calorie diets raise insulin resistance, both of which result in worsened PCOS. Now, these 2 things in combination can worsen PCOS, but very low-calorie diets have not been shown to raise CRP levels or insulin resistance. This is factually incorrect. Let's deal with these one by one. This study by Lips and colleagues published in 2016 compared the effects of a very low-calorie diet on inflammation markers, including CRP, compared to bariatric surgery, and found not only did CRP decrease in both groups, but those who engaged in a very low-calorie diet lost less weight but had a superior reduction in CRP. Research led by a person whose name I can't even think of how to pronounce, published in 2019, put 19 obese diabetics on a 600 calorie diet for 10 weeks and then slowly upped their intake to 1500 over a 4-week period. Researchers found that insulin sensitivity improved when participants were eating a very low calorie diet. With that said, I want to thank you all for your support, your likes, comment, views, all of that means a lot. I am slowly edging my way back into YouTube, but, school, being an adult, takes time, stresses you out, doesn't make you want to upload. But I will try my best to get back into YouTube and get a more consistent upload schedule. But with that said, thank you, and I'll catch you all on the flip.